In some situations, it might be hard to trace the perimeter of a room or building with a spline if it contains any curves in it. For example, I made this wall with NURBS, and you'll learn to do that later on in the module. Let me edit this wall and make it curved for the sake of this demonstration. So now we have a complex curve that's going to be difficult to trace with a spline. In a situation like this, you can use the section tool to create a shape for you. I'll create a section object right down here on the ground, and then click Create Shape. I'll call this Floor, and then delete the section object because it's no longer needed. Select the floor and hide unselected. As you can see, the new shape cuts through the geometry, so it gives us a double line representation. We'll need to do some work before this can be used to create a floor. Now, the actual steps that you'll need to perform will vary based on the object that you have, but I'll show you some of the more common things that you might have to do. I'll go to the segment level and delete some of the segments. In this case, I can get rid of the outer segments because I need to make the floor match up with the inner perimeter of the room. Now, in some cases, we have lines that overshoot, like over here. What we should do is trim that to create a vertex. I'll go to the spline level where I can access trim, and then I'll trim that away. Let's do that wherever we need to do it. It looks like we need it over here too. Now it looks like we can go back to the segment level and just get rid of some of the stray segments that are floating about. Here, this is a situation where I'll use the paint selection tool, and I'll just go across here and drag that paintbrush across the screen to select these various segments, and I'll delete them. Here, I'll get rid of that. And now we're left with some other problems. I'll go back to rectangular selection. Here we have a gap that we could fill. I'll go to the vertex level, get rid of these vertices, and then connect these two together, like that. See how that works? I can get rid of some of these inner vertices and then connect some others. Now in Max 9, the first vertex is represented by a yellow grip. In earlier versions, it's located by a box. Let's zoom in over here. I can see that we have a first vertex here. And it looks to me like they're overlapping each other. I'll select them and fuse. That brings them together. Then I'll weld them together to make just one vertex. Go back out, and let's take a look at the object in the spline level. It looks like we have 2 or 3 different subsplines. In order to get a surface, you need to join those together. Go to the vertex level, and we will select all these vertices where they're joining and weld them. Now where do we stand? Now we have a single subspline. Up here it says it's closed. That's good. It should be able to be extruded now. I'll apply the extrude modifier. And let's take a look at it in perspective. I'll unhide the other objects. And let's give this a different color. I'll make it blue. So there's the floor. To be more efficient, I'll turn on backface cull and just cap the end. That way We can see the top of the floor, but we can look through it from below. Making the ceiling at this point is easy. It's just a matter of cloning the floor, moving it up, and then flipping the capping around so that the ceiling is now only visible from within the room.